Hey, welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. Think Thursday is all about your beautiful, brilliant human brain. We're talking neuroscience. We're talking behavior change. We are talking about your mindset. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Hey there, it's Molly, and welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist. You know, Think Thursdays are all about our beautiful, brilliant human brains. We talk about neuroscience and mindset and the patterns that shape how we experience our lives. Today, I want to talk about something that we don't really have enough language for, but it quietly shapes the way a lot of us move through the world. And it's what it's like to live with someone who is struggling with their mental health. I thought this was especially appropriate. This episode is dropping on Thursday, April 30th, literally the day before May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. And because of that, I wanted to start this Think Thursday episode in May, or the first one going into May, talking about not necessarily what it's like to have mental illness, but to live alongside it, because those are two very different experiences. When someone you love is emotionally unpredictable, whether that's because of addiction, depression, anxiety, or something else, it doesn't just affect them. It shapes the environment, the emotional tone of a home, the energy in conversations, the sense of stability day by day. And if you've lived in that kind of environment, you know this instinctively. You learn to read it, to feel it, to anticipate it. And sometimes that starts in childhood. Sometimes it shows up later, living with a partner, caring for a parent, navigating a relationship. But either way, the brain adapts in very similar ways. For me, it started when I was young. I remember worrying about what I was walking into when I got home from school. Not always something dramatic, but enough inconsistency that I learned to pay attention. What version of my mom will be there today? And even as an adult, that pattern didn't just disappear. I would think about it when I was calling home. I would look at the time. I would want to call in the mornings, hopefully to avoid the evenings when I was more worried that she had been drinking. I would hesitate. And I can still remember seeing their number coming up on caller ID around 5 o'clock and just feeling that tightening in my chest. And on the other side of that, I remember the relief, that exhale when I could tell she was sober, when her tone was steady, when the conversation felt like normal, felt easy. That sense of, okay, we're good. I don't have to worry about dealing with my altered mother. And that right there, that shift between bracing and relief, that's your nervous system learning. We've talked many times about how the brain wires what it practices. And in an environment where emotions are inconsistent, what the brain practices is awareness, not casual awareness, but precise awareness. You've heard me talk before about the reticular activating system, that built-in filter that decides what gets your attention. In a more stable environment, it filters for things like routines, goals, what you've decided matters. But when you're living alongside emotional unpredictability, it adapts. It starts filtering for people, for tone of voice, for facial expressions, for energy shifts, for timing. And you become incredibly good at reading the room. That can show up in two different ways depending on your experience. If this started in childhood, it often becomes part of your baseline. You don't even realize you're doing it. It just feels like who you are. And if it's happening in your adult life, living with a partner, caring for a parent, navigating a relationship, it can feel more like a constant adjustment, a kind of ongoing calibration. You find yourself thinking, is now a good time to bring this up? How are they today? Do I need to tread carefully here? different timing, same brain pattern. And there's another layer that comes with all of this. This subtle belief that maybe if you just handle things the right way, if you say the right thing, if you don't make it worse, you can keep things steady. Not because anyone told you that, but because your brain is wired to look for patterns and control where it can. And over time, that can blur into something deeper, where awareness of someone else's emotional state starts to feel like responsibility for it. And this is an important distinction, because becoming aware of someone's mood, being attuned to their state, is not the same as being responsible for regulating it. But again, the brain learns through repetition, and that is neuroplasticity, not as a new idea, but as something happening in real time. Your brain becoming more efficient at whatever it's repeatedly asked to do. So if it's repeatedly asked to monitor, to adjust, to anticipate, it becomes incredibly skilled at that. Which is why so many people who've lived in these environments find themselves later in life to be highly perceptive, to be emotionally aware, and to be able to read cues that come quickly. And at the same time, they are also easily unsettled by shifts. They are quick to take on emotional weight, and they are motivated to keep things steady. And I want to pause here for a moment because it's important and this matters. None of those things are weaknesses or strengths necessarily. What I want you to see is it is adaptation. Your brain learned how to function in the environment it was given, and it did it really well. But what's also true is that living alongside mental illness, whether growing up or in adulthood, often means holding two things at the same time. There is love, connection, care, and moments that matter deeply. But there is also unpredictability, tension, uncertainty, and emotional swings that can feel hard to track. Holding both of those isn't confusion, it's complexity. We've talked before about the idea of paradox, the ability to hold two things that are both true. I can love someone so deeply and also recognize that living alongside their struggles impacted me. Both are true. And when we zoom out, this experience is far more common than we tend to talk about. Organizations like the World Health Organization estimate that over 1 billion people worldwide live with mental health conditions. And when you extend that to families, to partners, to households, the number of people living alongside those conditions grows very quickly. And yet we don't talk much about that side of the experience, what it means to adapt to it, to live within it, to carry those patterns forward. So what do we do with that? Well, the first step is always awareness, noticing, right? Oh, this is something my brain learned to do. This isn't just who I am. This is what I practiced. And the second step is a shift that can feel small, but really changes things over time. Instead of asking, how do I manage what's happening around me? You begin to ask, what do I need to stay grounded within it? Because there's a difference between being responsive and being responsible. And when you begin to practice that distinction, something new starts to wire. Your brain begins to learn that safety doesn't only come from predicting other people. It can also come from how you regulate yourself, from the steadiness you create internally, from the choices you make in how you respond. That doesn't erase the past. It doesn't minimize what you experienced. It does create something forward-facing. Your choice. So, if this resonates with you today, whether this was part of your childhood or something you're navigating right now, just know this. Your brain did exactly what it was designed to do. It adapted. And now you have the opportunity to guide it in a new direction with awareness, with intention, and with repetition. Before we wrap up today, I want to take a moment to acknowledge something. If this conversation stirred anything up for you, whether that's your own experience or what it's like to care about someone else, there are resources available, and you don't have to navigate it on your own. If you are in the United States, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available 24 hours a day. You can text or call 988, and it's there not just for crisis, but for any moment where you need support or someone to talk to. Organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health America offer free education, tools, and support groups, not just for individuals, but for families and loved ones navigating mental health challenges. And if substance use is a part of your story, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration has a free, confidential helpline that can connect you to support and resources. I will make sure that all of those are linked in the show notes so you can find them easily. But I wanted to share those things with you, especially because, like I said, Mental Health Awareness Month starts tomorrow, and it's important whether you're navigating something on your own for yourself or navigating someone you love. Because taking care of your mental and emotional health, especially, if you are navigating someone else's, really matters. All right, that's all I have for you today, my friends. Until next time, choose peace, and I will see you on Monday.